kids should be entering the ring.
A pair of entries here in our intermediate kid class for the Alpine breed. Starting off 1/2 for the advantage that we see in general appearance. See that advantage in the front end assembly. We see more extension to that brisket, more fullness at the point of elbow. She'll additionally have the advantage in the strength over that top line with less tendency to roach in the low and while on the move than what we see in 2. And then in body capacity, once again, we're just picking up the advantage being deeper and wider in that chest floor than our second place doe. Second place doe, really do appreciate the openness of ribbing on her, and she should be commended for that.
First place intermediate Alpine kid goes to Marie Halpin. Second to Debbie Haberlin. We are now ready for Class 3 Alpine Senior Kid. Class 3 Alpine Senior Kid.
two incredibly similar style does here in our senior kid class. Just some minor differences between the two. One does place over 2 for the advantage that we see in general appearance. It's primarily in that feet and legs category. She's a doe showing some more proper placement. There's 4 legs beneath the withers. She's a doe that has more height and width up into the escutcheon. She'll combine that with a slight advantage as well and dairy strength, being more out curving of thigh as I look at her from behind compared to the doe here in 2. Our second place doe, really do appreciate the length of bone pattern throughout on this doe, and she should be commended for that.
Senior kid class, your winner goes to Debbie Haberlin. Second to Debbie Haberlin. We are now ready for Class 4 Alpine Dry Yearling. Class 4 Alpine Dry Yearling.
Our oldest group of alpines here are dry yearlings, starting 1 over 2 once again for the advantage in general appearance. We see that edge in the feet and legs category. We see a doe that's shorter and stronger on that rear pastern, a little more correct set to that rear leg as well. She'll combine that with the advantage she also holds. Once again in that body capacity category, being wider and deeper in that chest floor, deeper back into the rear barrel with more spring to that rear rib. So again, I really appreciate the length and leanness about the neck on the second place doe, and she should be commended for that.
Winner in your dry yearling class goes to Debbie Haberlin. Second to Marie Halpin. We now need all of our first and second place Alpine does to the ring for our junior champion selection, please.
We have our class winners out here for selection of Junior Champion Alpine. They're in the line closest to me. The competition for Junior Champion for me really falls between the dry yearling at the head of the line and this intermediate kid second from the back of the line. They have the advantage over the junior kid in the strength of general appearance and the correctness of the front end assembly. They have the advantage over the senior kid in the area of strength of feet and legs and stronger and straighter on those forelegs. Looking between these two does, one doe does have the advantage in dairy strength, being a little longer and leaner about that neck, more open about the rear rib, a little more angular throughout. Combine that with the advantage and angulation to the rear leg as well, and that's the intermediate kid. She'll be our junior champion today. We look at our second place from that class, just a very dairy individual in her own right with that long bone pattern throughout the long lean neck, but now not quite showing us that same strength of general appearance and strength over the top line that we saw in my junior champion. So I'm going to go up to the head of the line to this dry yearling. She'll be our reserve junior champion today.
We need your papers, please. After checking tattoos and verifying papers, you have your grand champion to Marie Halpin, second to Debbie Haberlin. We now ready for a group class of Alpine's Junior Get of Sire.
A single entry here in our junior get a sire class. 3 dams represented here, all out of the same sire. We really appreciate the consistency of type in these 3 does. Just very correct in the strength over the top line, the strength of depth of body throughout on all 3 of these does. Well deserving of first place.
Winner in your group class of Junior Alpine goes to Debbie Haberlin. We are now ready to start our Sonnen show. I need that Class 1 Sonnen junior kid to the ring, please.
our class of junior Sonnen kids here. Starting off with the doe, I felt pretty easily led herself to the top of this class. She excels the doe in two, first of all, in general appearance as it relates to the strength of that front end assembly. Just forelegs placed more properly beneath the withers, a little more extension to that brisket. She's walking around the ring tighter at the point of elbow. She combines that advantage as well with the edge she has in dairy strength. She's a longer bone pattern doe. She's a stronger bone pattern doe compared to the doe in two. 2 and 3, a close placing here and some trade-offs between these two kids. We're picking up the advantage in terms of sharpness to withers in the second place kid, as well as proportional length of body. 2/3. She'll combine that with the advantage she also holds in terms of general appearance and the strength over that top line. She has less tendency to dip in the chine while on the move compared to the doe in 3. Then additionally, she has the advantage in terms of strength of those rear pasterns compared to the doe here in 3. She will have to grant to the width and depth throughout on this third place doe. And for that, I want to commend our third place.
First place in your junior kid class goes to Amy Keach. Second to Josh Cornett. Third to Josh Cornett. We're now ready for our intermediate Sonnen Class 2. Intermediate Sonnen Class 2.
our class of intermediate Sonnen kids, starting 1 over 2 for the advantage that we see in Darius String. She's a doe that's more angular and sharp throughout. She's a flatter boned individual. She combines that with the advantage she also holds in terms of general appearance and the strength of that rump structure being flatter from thurl to thurl as well as from hips to pins. And then in feet and legs, she's a doe that's straighter on that rear leg when viewed from behind compared to the doe in 2. 2 then placing over 3 in her turn for the advantage she has now in general appearance. She's more abstaining to that front end assembly, more correctly level through the chine and loin area. She combines that now once again in her own turn in terms of strength of dariness, being a little more smoothly blending from the neck into the withers, more out curving of thigh when viewed from behind compared to the doe in 3. 3 and 4, once again a close placing here. Our third place doe just has that advantage in general appearance as it relates to the strength of the feet and legs. She's stronger in that rear pastern. She's more correct set to that rear leg as well. In that front end assembly, she's wider in the front end. In body capacity, she's going to be a doe that's longer in that rear barrel than what we see in the doe in 4. She'll have to grant to the openness of ribbing on this 4th place doe, and it's for that openness of ribbing I want to commend 4th today.
Winner of your Class 2 Sonnen Intermediate Kid goes to Josh Cornett, second to Anna Stoltman, third to Debbie Haberlin, fourth to Michaela Cornett. We are now ready for Class 3 Senior Kid Sonnens.
Pair of entries here in our senior kid class for the Sonnen breed. One does place over 2 today for the advantage that we see in general appearance. It's the strength of that top line. She's a doe that's flatter in the rump from thurl to thurl. She's wider from thurl to thurl as well. And feet and legs, she's a doe that shows more width between the hocks. She's stronger on that rear pastern. She'll combine that with the advantage she also holds today in terms of depth at the point of elbow and more increasing depth back into the rear barrel compared to the doe we see here in 2. She will have to grant to the sharpness of withers on this 2nd place doe, and it's for that sharpness I want to commend the doe in 2.
In your Sonnen Senior Kid Class 3, your winner is Amy Keach. Second is Josh Cornett. We are now ready for our Sonnen Class 4 Dry Yearlings. Sonnen Class 4 Dry Yearlings into the ring, please.
Really strong class of Sonnendraai yearlings here. Starting off with a close pair at the head of the line. One does place over two, though. For the advantage, she has a dairy strength. She's longer and leaner about that neck. She's sharp in those withers. She's freer of excess flesh, and she's cleaner in that thigh area today than what we see in two. She'll combine that with the advantage she also holds in the area of general appearance, specifically in feet and legs. She's a doe that's straighter on that foreleg when viewed from the side compared to the doe in two, as well as a doe that tracks out with more width between the hocks than our second place doe. Two then places over three. This is for her primary advantage, once again in that general appearance category. It's the strength over the top line as you get these two does out on the move. She's a doe that tracks out more correctly level through the area of the loin than what we see in three. She'll additionally combine that with being a doe with more correct angulation to that rear leg today than what we see in three. Our third place doe, really do appreciate a lot of characteristics of this doe, just not quite putting it all together today to move her any higher up in that line. She does have the advantage over the doe directly behind her in fourth in the area of general appearance and the strength of those forelegs. She tracks straighter as I watch her walk toward me. Once again, she's going to have the advantage in dairy strength and the length of bone pattern throughout, the smoothness of blending from the neck into the withers, and the angularity throughout that she shows compared to the doe in four. 4 and 5, once again, a close placing here, but our fourth place does have the advantage in general appearance and the strength over that top line. She's wider and flatter from thurl to thurl. She's flatter from hips to pins. Then she combines that with the advantage she also holds in the area of feet and legs, and the angulation is set to that rear leg, being more correctly angulated when viewed from the side, tracking with more width between the hocks when viewed from behind compared to the deeper body doe here in 5. This is for that depth of chest floor that I want to commend our 5th place doe today.
Winner of your dry yearling Sonnen Class 4 goes to Josh Cornett. Second to Josh Cornett. Third to Amy Keach. Now, if I can get all of my first and second place Sonnens back into the ring, please, for junior champion.
our lineup for our junior champion Sonando here. 4 class winners in the line closest to me. Really appreciate a lot of strengths in this line. Our junior kid just really correct in that front end assembly. She walks around the ring extremely tight at the point of elbow, a lot of extension to that brisket. Super dairy kid here coming out of our intermediate kid class, long and lean about that neck, really angular and sharp throughout. Our senior kid, just a really powerful individual, really appreciate the width and depth of the chest floor, the depth back into the rear barrel. And our dry yearling here at the headline, really correct dough in general appearance with that beautiful strength over the top line, the abstainness into the front end assembly. She's going to be my junior champion. She has the advantage over the balance of that class in that area of general appearance and the correctness over that top line, the correctness in terms of set and strength to the feet and legs. Combine that with the dairy strength we want to see at this age in terms of the openness of ribbing that she shows and the flatness of bone. So that first place dry yearling will be our junior champion. We bring in our second place from that class, just a really competitive individual once again out here with that correctness of front end assembly, the tightness of the point of elbow. But now we're losing some in terms of strength of dairiness and the length and leanness about the neck, the freedom of excess fleshing that we see in some of the does behind her. So I'm really looking at the 3 younger does for our reserve junior champion. Really appreciate that power of the senior kid, the width and depth she shows throughout. Really appreciate the dairy strength on this intermediate kid, that long lean neck, the angularity, the length of bone pounded throughout. But I really feel like this junior kid is what puts both of those areas together with that strength of bone combined with the dairiness that we want to see, the correctness over that top line. So our junior kid will be our reserve junior champion.
Your grand champion junior sonning goes to Josh Cornett, reserved to Amy Keach. I have no group classes in the sonning breed, so we will now be starting with our La Manchas. I need our La Mancha Class 1 junior kids, please.
pair of junior La Manchas to start our La Mancha show today. One does place over two for the advantage that we see in dairy strength. You get your hands on these two does. Our doe in one's just so open and angular about that rear rib. She's a flatter boned individual as well. She combines that with the advantage she has in general appearance as well, having more correct angulation to that rear leg while on the move than what we see in two. Second place doe, really do appreciate the length of body on her, and she should be commended for that.
First place in your junior La Mancha Kid class, Ella Zemer. Second place to Ella Zemer. We are now ready for class 3 La Mancha Senior Kid class. Class 3 La Mancha Senior Kid.
A single entry here in our senior kid class. Just a doe showing us a lot of length of body, depth of rear barrel, spring to that rear rib. She's well deserving of her blue ribbon today, and we'll see her back out here for our junior champion lineup.
Only a single entry in our senior kid class. Your winner is Mackenzie Adair. We are now ready for class 4 La Mancha Dry Yearling.
class of La Mancha Senior Dry Yearling. Starting off the class with the doe, I felt pretty handily, led herself to the top here. She has the advantage in general appearance over the doe in 2. As it relates to the strength of that top line, she's flatter in the one from thurl to thurl. She's more correctly abstaining to that front end assembly as well. In that front end assembly, she has forelegs placed more properly beneath the withers, and she's tighter at the point of elbow today than what we see in 2. 2 then places over 3 in her turn for the advantage she has in dairy strength. She's longer and leaner about that neck. She's more open about that rear rib. She combines that with the advantage she now has in the area of back, being more correctly level in the area of the loin wall on the move than what we see in 3. Third place doe, really do appreciate the depth of chest floor on this doe, and she should be commended for that.
Winner of your dry yearling class, La Mancha. First, Brocker Butoff. Second, Ella Zemer. Third, Jalen Wheeler. Now if I can get my first and second place back in for our junior La Mancha champion. Our lineup for our junior champion La Mancha, our junior kid here at the back line, really a stylish individual of the abstainness and sharpness in that front end assembly, the levelness and width she shows over the top line. A really long-bodied kid coming out of our senior kid class, long bone throughout. Really appreciate the length and leanness about the neck on her. And then our junior champion at the head of the line, she just excels this lineup in the area of general appearance, that correctness in terms of strength over the top line, the strength of feet and legs, correctness and angulation to that rear leg, combining with the dairy strength we want to see as they grow and mature, with that angularity and openness throughout. So she will be our junior champion. We bring in our second place from that class, just a really competitive individual in this lineup. Really appreciate, once again, the dairy strength on this doe as it relates to the length of bone pattern throughout. I feel like the competition for reserve is closest between her and this first place junior kid at the back of the line. And today, for the advantage that she has in terms of being more naturally, correctly set in the rear leg, which again, tracking out with more width between the hocks, as well as being a little smoother blending about that front end assembly. I'm going to stay in that same class, and our second place dry yearling will be our reserve junior champion. We have no group classes in our La Mancha breed, so I need my all other purebreds to make their way to ringside, please. Your champion La Mancha goes to Brocker Butteroff. Second to Ella Ziesmer. We're now ready for our AOP intermediate kids. We're Class 2 intermediate kid AOP.
Really a strong class of intermediate kids to start off our AOP breed division. One does place over 2 for that correctness and general appearance that she shows. It starts in that front end assembly. She's track around the ring tighter at the point of elbow with more extension to that brisket. Continues into that body capacity category, being deeper and wider in that chest floor, deeper back into the rear barrel compared to the doe here in 2. 2 and 3, this is my closest placing in the class, but our second place kid does have the advantage in terms of strength over that top line. When you get these two does out on the move, doe in second's a doe that's flatter through the loin area as well as the rump from hips to pins. She'll also pick up a slight advantage in terms of being more correctly set about that rear leg when viewed from the side compared to the doe in 3. And dairy strength, just a slight advantage here in terms of strength of bone pattern throughout as well compared to our third place doe. 3 then placing over 4, this for her primary advantage in general appearance. As it relates to the strength of that front end assembly, we see more width in that front end, more extension to that brisket today. She's a little smoother blending as well in that front end assembly. She'll combine that with the advantage she has in body capacity. She's deeper at the point of elbow, deeper back into the rear barrel compared to the doe here in 4. Fourth place kid, really do appreciate the length of the top line on her, and she should be commended for that.
Winner of your Class 2 All Other Purebred Intermediate Kid class goes to Josh Cornett, second to Josh Cornett, third to Katie Jackson. We are now ready for our All Other Purebred Class 3 Senior Kid.
Big age difference here in our senior kid class, starting off with a September-born kid over 2 February-born kids behind her. She just has the advantage in the area of general appearance. As it relates to the strength of the feet and legs, she's shorter and stronger in that front pastern, less tendency to bow in that knee when viewed from the side. She combines that with the advantage she also holds in the area of the front end assembly. She's wider in that front end. She's smoother blending about that shoulder assembly as well. And then naturally, she'll have a slight advantage in body capacity with that length and depth back into the rear barrel over the doe and 2. She'll have to grant to the levelness through the chine area on the second place kid. 2 then places over 3. This is for her primary advantage, once again in that general appearance category. She's flatter in the rump from hips to pins while on the move. She's more correct set to that rear leg today than what we see in our third place kid. Third place kid really do appreciate the height and width of his scutcheon on this doe, and she should be commended for that.
In your all other purebred class 3 senior kid, Katie Jackson is your number 1, Josh Cornett number 2, and third place goes to Josh Cornett. We are now ready for class 4 dry yearlings.
Our class of dry yearling AOPs here. Close placing here, but one does place over 2 for the advantage in general appearance. As it relates to the strength of the feet and legs, as you watch these 2 does walk toward you, see a doe in 1 that tracks straighter on that foreleg than what we see in 2. She additionally tracks around the wing more correctly level through the chine and loin area than what we see in 2. She'll combine that with the edge she has in dairy strength. She's leaner about that neck. She's flatter bone throughout as well compared to the doe here in 2. Our second place doe really do appreciate the openness of ribbing on this doe, and she should be commended for that.
Winner of your AOP dry yearling goes to Josh Cornett. Second to Josh Cornett. We are now ready for our champion, all other purebred. If I can get those first and second into the ring, please. At that completion, and when we verify tattoos, we will be starting our Nigerians.
our lineup for our junior champion AOP. Our three class winners out here. We really appreciate the side profile on this intermediate kid. Really correct over that top line. Beautiful set to the rear legs on her. Our senior kid directly in front of her. Really a long bone pattern doe. Love the length and leanness about the neck on her. The sharpness to those withers. And then our dry yearling here at the headline. Once again, just a doe that when you get her out on the move, really appreciate the levelness over the top line and the set to the rear legs. Today, I feel like it's pretty easy to come down to the youngest kid in this lineup. She has the advantage in that correctness of general appearance combined with the correctness of dairy strength that she shows and the openness and angularity throughout. So she'll be our junior champion. We brought in our second place from that class, and the competition gets a lot closer for reserve. But I'm going to stay in that same class for our reserve junior champion. She has, once again, that advantage over the senior kid directly in front of her in that area of general appearance and levelness through the loin area into the rump from hips to pin. She has the advantage of the dry yearling at the headline and the strength of feet and legs, tracking straighter in that rear leg when viewed from behind. So our second place intermediate kid will be our reserve junior champion.
Your grand and reserve AOP, all other purebred, goes to Josh Cornett. We are now ready for a group class of junior get of sire for our AOPs, and then we'll be starting with our Nigerian dwarfs.
A single entry in our junior get of sire class. Two dams represented out here, all out of the same sire. We really appreciate the length of body, the abstainness into that front end assembly, the sharpness and flatness of bone that all three of these does exhibit. They're easily deserving of a first place ribbon. Our first class of Nigerian junior doe is our junior kid class, starting off 1 over 2 for the advantage that we see in the general appearance category. That front end assembly, she's a doe that's sharper in those withers, more extension to that brisket. She also has the advantage in dairy strength. She's smoother blending from the neck into the withers. She's more correctly pliable about that skin today than what we see in 2. 2 and 3 are close placing here. A second place kid does have the advantage though in general appearance. As you get these two out on the move, see a kid in second that's more correctly level from hips to pins, has more correct set and angulation in that rear leg today. She'll combine that with a slide advantage as well, and body capacity being more increasingly deep back into the rear barrel. She'll have to grant to the openness to ribbing on this third place doe. It's that dairy strength that carries 3 over 4. She's flatter bone, she's longer bone, she's sharper in those withers. She'll combine that with the advantage that she now has in the area of once again, dairy strength being longer and leaner about that neck, sharper in the withers than what we see in 4. Our fourth place kid, really do appreciate the width and power that she shows throughout, and she should be commended for that.
In your Nigerian Dwarf Junior Kid Class 1, first place to Montana Fed, second to Emma Mullins, third to Emma Mullins. We are now ready for Nigerian Dwarf Class 2 Intermediate Kid. In the class now, we need our Nigerian Dwarf Intermediate kids, please.
Our largest class of the day so far, Nigerian intermediate kids. Starting off with a close placing, two really similar style of kids here at the headline. One does place over two, though, for the advantage that she has in the area of that front end assembly. She has forelegs placed more properly beneath the withers. She has more extension to that brisket today than what we see in two. She'll combine that with the advantage she has in body capacity. She's deeper at that point of elbow. She's more increasing depth and length back into that rear barrel today than what we see in two. Two then is placing over three. This is for her primary advantage in dairy strength. She's smoother, blending from the neck into the withers. She's sharper in those withers today than what we see in three. She'll combine that with a slight advantage as well in her own turn now in the area of dairy strength and the length of that rear rib. 3 and 4, probably the closest placing I have in this class, but our third place kid does have the advantage in the area of general appearance and strength of that wump structure. As you get these two does out on the move, she's a doe that's more correctly level from hips to pins, just a little more correct set to the rear leg today than what we see in 4. Also a slight advantage here in dairy strength as it relates to being leaner about the neck, smoother blending from the neck into the withers over our 4th place doe. 4 then is placing over 5, while she will grant to the length and leanness about the neck and that dairy strength. She does have the advantage in the correctness of general appearance. It's the strength of that top line. She's more correctly level through the chine and loin area. She's showing us more width between the hocks, straighter on that rear leg as she walks away from me today compared to the doe here in 5. 5 then is placing over 6 for that advantage in dairy strength. She's a doe that's flatter bone. She's more open about that rear rib. She's a little more angular about that rear rib as well compared to the doe here in 6th. She'll combine that with the advantage she has in feet and legs in general appearance, being more correctly angulated about that rear leg while on the move than what we see in 6. 6 then is placing over 7 in her turn for the advantage she has in general appearance. She's a doe showing some more extension to that brisket. She's walking around the ring with more width in that front end assembly as well as being tighter at the point of elbow. And then in dairy strength, she's a doe showing some more correctness in terms of pliability of skin today than what we see in 7. 7 then is placing over 8. This her primary advantage in dairy strength as it relates to the strength of bone pounded throughout, the length of bone pounded throughout, and then the advantage in general appearance and having the more correct set to the rear leg today over 8. 8 then is placing over 9. This is for her primary advantage in general appearance as it relates to the strength of that top line. She's longer through the chine and loin area. She's wider in the rump from hips to pins. She's flatter in the rump from hips to pins as well compared to the doe in 9. That's wider from thurl to thurl, longer and leveler from hips to pins than 9. 9 then is placing over 10. This is for her primary advantage in dairy strength. She's a doe that's more angular about that rear rib. She's proportionally a longer bone pattern doe. She's a doe that's flatter boned as well. Then when we look at general appearance, as they're on the move, we see a doe in 9 that's flatter in the rump from hips to pins than what we see in the doe here in 10. Our 10th place doe really do appreciate the set to the rear leg on her, and she should be commended for that.
For your intermediate Nigerian dwarf class, Montana Fed was first, second to Montana Fed, third is to Brocker Butteroff. We are now ready for our Nigerian dwarf senior kid class 3. Nigerian dwarf senior kid class 3. I think there are 5 entries.
Our class of senior kids coming in the line here. Starting off this class with a doe that really caught my eye as soon as she entered the ring. She has the advantage over the doe in two. First of all, in that dairy strength category, she's flatter boned, a little more open about that rear rib. She'll combine that with the advantage she has in the area of general appearance and strength of feet and legs. She's a little stronger in that rear pastern, tracking out with a little more width between the hocks compared to the doe here in two. Two then is placing over three. For her primary advantage in general appearance in that front end assembly, she has more extension to that brisket. She's tracking around the ring tighter at the point of elbow and feet and legs. She's the doe tracking straighter on that foreleg as I watch her walk toward me compared to the doe here in three. And then she's also picking up the advantage in body capacity, being wider and deeper in that chest floor today than what we see in our third place doe. Three then is placing over furthest for her primary advantage in general appearance as it relates to the strength over that top line. She's a doe that on the move levels out more correctly from hips to pins, as well as being a doe with more correct angulation to that rear leg today than what we've seen for. She'll combine that with a slight advantage in dairy strength as it relates to being more correctly pliable of the skin today than what we see in four. 4 and 5, another really close place, seeing some trade-offs between these two does, but we're picking up the advantage in dairy strength on this fourth place doe as it relates to being a longer bone pattern doe, more angular about that rear rib. She's freer of excess fleshing as well. Then she combines that with the advantage she has in general appearance and the strength over that top line, tracking around the ring more correctly level through the chine than what we see in 5. She'll have to grant to the correctness in terms of texture of that skin today to this fifth place doe. Fifth place doe really do appreciate the width between the hocks and the width and height up into the escutcheon, and she should be commended for that.
In your senior kid class, Nigerian Dwarf goes to Jalen Wheeler, second to Emma Mullins, third to Jalen Wheeler. We are now ready for Nigerian Dwarf Class 4, your dry yearling. I believe there are 10 entries.
a very interesting class of senior dry yearlings here to end our Nigerian show, starting off 1 over 2 for the advantage that we see in general appearance. First of all, it's the strength over that top line, specifically in the rump from hips to pins, being more correctly level, as well as then in feet and legs. She's a doe with more correct angulation to the rear leg. She's tracking out with more width between the hocks than what we see in 2. 2 then is placing over 3. This is for her primary advantage in dairy strength. She's longer and leaner about that neck. She's cleaner up into the escutcheon. She's cleaner about the thighs. She's just freer of excess fleshing. She'll combine that with the advantage she also holds now in her turn in terms of strength of feet and legs, being stronger on those rear legs when viewed from the side compared to the doe here in 3. Third place doe, really do appreciate the correctness of general appearance on this doe. Just need to clean her up and get her in a little more correct conditioning to move her any farther up that line. She does have the advantage in terms of strength to that front end assembly, having more extension to that brisket, more width in that front end assembly over the doe behind her and forward. She'll combine that with the advantage she has in body capacity as it relates to being deeper at the point of elbow, wider into that chest floor today than what we see in 4. Fourth place kid, once again, a kid that I kept moving up here. I really appreciate the general appearance on this doe. She's sunburned today, and so that's affecting her dairy strength, and that's what's keeping her from moving any further up the line. But it is for that advantage in general appearance and the strength over that top line, being more correctly level through the chine and loin area, as well as in feet and legs, tracking around the ring with more correct angulation to the rear legs that carries 4 over 5. 5 then placing over 6 in her turn for the advantage that she has in general appearance. She's more abstaining to that front end assembly. She's sharper in those withers today. She'll combine that with the advantage she has in dairy strength. Once again, that sharpness throughout, the flatness of bone, and the correctness in terms of texture to that skin today over the doe here in 6. 6 then is placing over 7. She's more correct in general appearance, specifically in that front end assembly. We're seeing more uniform width and depth in that chest floor, which gives her both the front end assembly advantage as well as that body capacity advantage. And then in feet and legs, she's a doe that's stronger in that rear leg today in terms of being straighter when viewed from behind compared to the doe here in 7. 7 then is placing over 8. This is for her dairy strength advantage. She's longer about that neck. She's more angular about that rear rib today. She'll combine that with a slight advantage as well now in her turn, having more extension to that brisket, giving her the general appearance edge over 8. 8 then placing over 9. Once again, the dairy strength edge. She may not be quite as long bone, but she's more angular about that rear rib. She's flatter bone. She's more open about that rear rib. She'll then combine that with the advantage she has in terms of strength of feet and legs, having more correct set and angulation to that rear leg today compared to the doe here in 9. 9 then is placing over 10. This is just an advantage in dairy strength, being flatter boned in her own right. She's freer of excess flesh, and she has more openness in that rear rib. And then a slight advantage as well in terms of abstainingness into that front end assembly, smoothness of blending from the neck into the withers as well compared to the doe here in 10. 10th place doe, really do appreciate the levelness over that top line, specifically through the chine and loin area. We just need to clean her up once again, get her in a little more correct show condition to move her any further up the line.
First place in your dry yearling class is Jalen Wheeler. Second to Sarah Williams. Third is Brocker Butteroff. Now we need all of our first and second place animals in the ring, please. First and second place we need in for junior champion.
Our biggest breed out of the day out here for our selection of junior champion. Our 4 class winners in the line closest to me for our selection of junior champion. The head of the line here, we have our dry yearling, just a really stylish individual. Really appreciate the dairy strength on this doe with the length of bone pattern throughout, the sharpness and flatness of bone throughout as well. Directly behind her is a really eye-catching senior kid. Just so correct in that general appearance category as it relates to the strength of that top line, the levelness to the china loin area. Once again, beautiful set to the rear legs on this individual. Second from the back line is this intermediate kid. Just really correct once again in that general appearance category. Beautiful front end assembly on this doe with that extension to the brisket. She's walking around the ring. So extremely tight at the point of elbow. Smoothly blending in that front end assembly as well. And then our junior kid here at the back line. Just a really stylish individual once again in that dairy strength category. I love the long lean neck on her, the upstandness into that front end assembly, the sharpness to those withers. To me, it's pretty easy to come to that intermediate kid for a junior champion. She has the advantage over the kid at the head of the line in the area of the front end assembly, having more extension to that brisket, tighter at the point of elbow. She has the advantage over the senior kid directly in front of her in the area of body capacity, being wider and deeper in that chest floor, deeper back into the rear barrel. And she has the advantage over the junior kid at the back line in the area of feet and legs, tracking out with more proportional width between the hocks and more width and height up into the escutcheon. So for those reasons, our intermediate kid will be our junior champion. For selection of reserve champion, I feel like the competition is a lot closer now between our first place senior kid and our first place intermediate kid. They once again have that advantage over the dry yearling at the headline in the area of the rump being flatter from hips to pins while on the move. They have the advantage over this junior kid in the area of the rear leg set, straighter in that rear leg when viewed from behind. It's a really close placing between these two, but I do feel like one of these does has the advantage in that front end assembly, just having a little more naturally correctly placed forelegs beneath the withers, a little more extension to that brisket, combined with a slight advantage in dairy strength as it relates to the openness to that rear rib, and that's the second place intermediate kid. She'll be our reserve junior champion.
Grand and Reserve in your Nigerian Dwarf Junior show goes to Montana Fed. We are now ready for group classes. Junior Get of Sire, group classes.
A pair of entries out here for Junior Get of Sire. So these are 3 does out of the same sire. I'm going to use our group on the left over my group on my right for first over second. For the advantage that we see in that consistency of good type, specifically in that dairy strength category, as a group we see more consistency in the length of body, the flatness of bone, the sharpness of bone as well compared to the group over here. And to our second place group, really do appreciate the set to the rear legs on all 3 of these does, and they should be commended for that.
Winner of your Junior Get of Sire in the Nigerian Dwarf goes to Jalen Wheeler, first and second. We should be having our Nubian Junior Kids, Class 1. Class 1 Nubian Junior Kid ready to enter the ring. I have 9 entries.
our class of newbie and junior kids. A lot of these individuals are in a little bit of a unique growth stage right now. So this will change as they continue to grow and mature, but today as we see them, one does place over 2 for the advantage that we see in general appearance as it relates to strength through the chine and loin area, as well as being a doe that's more correct in that front end assembly, having forelegs placed more properly beneath the withers. And dairy strength, she's a doe that's a little more angular about that rear rib, a little smoother blending from the neck into the withers as well compared to the doe in 2. 2 then is placing over 3 for the advantage that she has in the area of strength of general appearance, specifically as it relates to the width of that front end assembly. That also helps give her that edge and body capacity, being wider and deeper in that chest floor and deeper back into the rear barrel compared to the doe here in 3. 3 and 4, these two are very immature kids, but very correct in the areas of general appearance. 3 does have the advantage over 4, though, specifically in that area of feet and legs. She's a doe that tracks out with more width and height up into the escutcheon, tracking a little straighter on that rear leg today when viewed from behind compared to the doe in 4. And then in dairy strength, she's a longer bone pattern doe. She's a stronger bone pattern doe as well compared to the doe in 4. 4 then places over 5, while granting the depth of body, she does have the advantage as it relates to the strength over the top line. So you get her out on the move compared to this doe in 5. She's more correctly level through the area of the rump from hips to pins. A little more properly placed rear legs beneath the rump structure than what we see in 5. 5 then is placing over 6 in her turn for the advantage she has in dairy strength. She's more angular about that rear rib. She's a flatter bone pattern doe. She'll combine that with a slight advantage as well in terms of strength of feet and legs, and it's the strength of those rear pasterns today that carry her over 6. 6 then is placing over 7. This for her primary advantage in general appearance and the strength of that front end assembly. She's sharper and has less motion about the shoulder blade than what we see in 7. She has more extension to that brisket. And body capacity, she's a longer body doe in that rear barrel today than what we see in our 7th place doe. 7th place doe, really do appreciate the breed character about the head on this kid, and she should be commended for that.
In your newbie and junior kid class, first goes to Penny Heiberger, second to Adam Light, third to Penny Heiberger. We're now ready for our Nubian Class 2 Intermediate Kid. Nubian Class 2 Intermediate Kid.
Intermediate doe kids in the ring now for the Nubian breed. One does place over 2 for the advantage that she has in dairy strength. She's longer about that neck. She's more open about that rear rib. She's so much more angular about that rear rib as well compared to the doe in 2. She additionally have the advantage in terms of being a stronger bone pattern doe. Look at general appearance. She's picking up the advantage as well in terms of strength in that rump structure, being longer and more correctly level from hips to pins today than what we see in 2. 2 then is placing over 3 once again for her advantage in dairy strength. It's now her turn to have the advantage in terms of being a flatter boned individual that's more open about that rear rib. She combines that with the advantage she has in terms of strength to that front end assembly, having more extension to that brisket. She's tracking around the ring tighter at the point of elbow today than what we see in 3. 3 then is placing over furthest for her advantage in general appearance as it relates to strength over that top line. So you get these 2 does on the move. We see a doe in 3 that has less tendency to dip in the chine, a little more correctly level through the area of the loin today than what we see in 4. That front end assembly, well, specifically in body capacity, she's a doe that shows more depth at the point of elbow, more length into that rear barrel today than what we see in 4. Our 4th place kid really do appreciate the set to the rear legs on her, and she should be commended for that.
In your intermediate Nubian kid class, first place to Anna Stoltman, second to Lisa Light, third to Legacy Nubians. We are now ready for Nubian Class 3 Senior Kid. Nubian Class 3 Senior Kid.
our class of newbie and senior kids. Starting off 1/2 for the advantage that we see. First of all, in general appearance, this is a doe shows more strength over that top line. She's longer through the chine and loin area. She's more correctly level through the area of the rump from hips to pins while on the move than what we see in 2. In feet and legs, she's a doe shows more width between the hocks and more width and height up into the escutcheon. That gives her the edge as well in darius strength as it relates to being more angular throughout, more out curving of thigh as well when viewed from behind compared to the doe in 2. 2 then is placing over 3 in her turn for the advantage she now has in darius strength. She's smoother, blending from the neck into the withers. She's sharper in those withers. In general appearance, she's a doe shows more strength in that front end assembly. She's walking around the wing tighter at the point of elbow with more extension to that brisket today than what we see in 3. 3 then is placing over 4. This for her primary advantage in darius strength as it relates to being a stronger boned individual. She's longer about that rear rib. She'll combine that with the advantage she now has in general appearance as it relates to the width through the loin as well as the width in the rump from thurl to thurl being wider than what we see in the doe here in 4. Our 4th place doe, do appreciate the set to the rear legs on this kid, and she should be commended for that.
In your senior kid class for Nubians, first place went to Legacy Nubians, second to Anna Stoltman, third to Lisa Light. We are now ready for class 4, dry yearling Nubians.
Our class of Nubian dry yearlings here, starting off with the doe. I felt pretty easily led herself to the top of this class. She excels the doe behind her in the area of the rump structure, being flatter from hips to pins while on the move than what we see in 2. She'll combine that with a slight advantage as well. In terms of strength of daringness and the openness of ribbing that she showed us throughout, a little more angled about that rear rib as well compared to the doe in 2. 2 then is placing over 3. This for her primary advantage. In general appearance, she's a doe that's more correctly level through the chine and loin area. She's more upstanding into those withers as well. When you get your hands on these 2 does, we see a doe in 2nd that's more open and flat boned about that rear rib today than what we see in 3. 3 then is placing over 4. This for her primary advantage. In general appearance and feet and legs, she's a doe that as you watch her walk away from you, she tracks out with more width between the hocks and more width and height up into the escutcheon. She'll combine that with the advantage she has in terms of body capacity, being deeper at that point of elbow than the doe in 4. She will have to grant to the levelness through the chine and loin area on this 4th place doe. 4 then is placing over 5. This for her primary advantage, general appearance. It's the strength of the feet and legs. She's a doe that's shorter and stronger on all 4 pasterns. Her forelegs are placed more properly beneath the withers than what we see in the doe here in 5. 5 then is placing over 6. She's a stronger boned individual. She's longer boned. She's more angular about that rear rib. She's flatter boned as well. In feet and legs now, she's a doe that has the advantage in terms of just tracking out with more width between the hocks than what we see in the doe here in 6. Our 6th place doe, really do appreciate the height, the width, and the escutcheon on this doe, and she should be commended for that.
In your dry yearling Nubian class, 1st place to Lisa Light, 2nd to Lisa Light, 3rd place goes to Lisa Light. We are now ready for our junior champion. I need all my 1st and 2nd place animals back to the ring, please.
Our lineup out here for our junior champion Nubian doe. All the 1st place does are in the line closest to me. 4 class winners at the back line. We have our junior kid, just a really stylish individual, a lot of promise for the future as it relates to the correctness in general appearance, correctness in terms of strength of that front end assembly, the tightness of the point of elbow, the extension to that brisket. Directly in front of her is our intermediate class winner, just a really eye-catching doe that you really appreciate the dairy strength on, that long lean neck. You get your hands on her. She's so incredibly open to that rear rib. She's flat-boned as well. A really long-bodied kid coming out of our senior kid class, starts with that length of neck, continues down so incredibly long through the chine and loin area, as well as being a doe with great set to the rear legs. Then our dry yearling here at the head of the line, just once again a really correct doe in terms of general appearance and the correctness of feet and legs as it relates to the set to the rear leg. competition for champion for me really falls between that first place senior yearling and our first place intermediate kid. And today one of those individuals has the advantage in general appearance as it relates to being a little more upstanding to that front end assembly, a little more correctly level through the chine and loin area, as well as being a doe that's just a little more correct in terms of set to the rear leg. And that's the first place dry yearling. She'll be our junior champion. We pull her out of line, and that second place doe fits in this lineup really well with that correctness of front end assembly. So the competition remains between her and our first place intermediate kid. Now one of these does has the advantage as it relates to being more correctly level in the rump from hips to pins, having a little more correct set to that rear leg, as well as in dairy strength for her size and scale, just being more open about that rear rib. And that's the first place intermediate kid. She'll be our junior reserve champion.
As we are verifying tattoos for our Nubians, we need to get those junior get of sires ready. That will be the next class.
Once again, a single entry here in the junior get of sire class. A group exhibiting 3 dams with their own sire. Really appreciate the dairy strength on all 3 does, the long lean necks, the openness of ribbing, the flatness of bone. They're well deserving of first in this class.
The winner of your Junior Get a Sire Nubian goes to Adam Light. We are now ready for our Toggenburg. Toggenburg, I see we have no junior kids, Class 1, so we will be starting with Class 2, Intermediate Toggenburg Kid. My correction, we do have a junior kid, so this is Class 1, Junior Kid Toggenburg.
A single entry here to kick off our Toggenburg show. Just a kid that really could have stood a lot of competition. Really appreciate that square rump structure with the length from hips to pins, the width from thurl to thurl. Extremely strong in that rear leg set as well, with a beautiful angulation to the rear leg when viewed from the side. She'll be first and come back out here for our champion lineup.
Winner of your junior kid class in Toggenburg, Class 1, was Anna Stoltman. We are now ready for Class 2, Toggenburg Intermediate Kid.
Another single entry, this time in the intermediate kid class. Really appreciate the power on this kid with that width and depth of the chest floor, the depth back into the rear barrel, a lot of spring of rib on this stow as well. She once again will be first, and we'll see her back out here for champion lineup. And another single entry here, our senior kid this time. She's a really dairy individual. You get your hands on her. She's really flat boned and open about that rear rib. She's sharp and dairy throughout. Once again, well deserving of first, and we'll see her back out here for champion lineup.
Winner of your senior kid class, Anna Stoltman of Toggenburg. We're now ready for Class 4, Dry Yearling, Toggenburg.
We double our overall total number of Toggenburgs in this class with 3 dry yearlings out here. Starting off the class with the doe, I felt pretty easily led herself to the top. She has the advantage in the general appearance category in that front end, having more extension to that brisket, track around the wing more correctly level through the area of the loin, and then in feet and legs, she's a doe showing some more correct angulation to that rear leg compared to the doe here in 2. 2 and 3 a little closer. Our second place doe does have the advantage in dairy strength. She's a stronger boned individual. She's flatter boned. She'll combine that with the advantage she now has in general appearance and the strength of the rump structure being flatter and wider from thurl to thurl today than what we see in 3. Third place doe, I really appreciate the depth of rear barrel on her, and she should be commended for that.
Class winner of your dry yearling Toggenburg is Josh Cornett. Reserve, second was Josh Cornett. Third, Anna Stoltman. We are now ready for our junior champion Toggenburg. I need the 4 classes back in, please.
Our lineup for our selection of junior champion Toggenburg, our 4 class winners in the line closest to me here. Starting at the back of the line, we have this junior kid. Just a really correct kid in terms of general appearance and the strength of that top line, the width through the loin area. Intermediate kid, just really deep and powerful individual. Love the depth and width back into that rear barrel on her. Our senior kid, really a dairy elegant individual with that long lean neck, the openness of ribbing that she shows. And then our dry yearling at the headline, just once again really correct in that general appearance category with that beautiful front end assembly. The extension of brisket she shows and the smoothness of blending about that front end assembly. For me, it's really easy to come to that dry yearling for our junior champion today. She has the advantage over the 3 does behind her in that area of correctness of the front end assembly combined with the strength and width and levelness through the top line and body capacity, the length of body throughout. And for those reasons, our dry yearling at the headline will be our junior champion. We bring in our second place from that class, and it's a doe that shows a lot of length of body and dairiness, but not quite that correctness of general appearance and the levelness through the top line or the angulation to the rear legs that we saw on our junior champion. So now I'm going to come back to the other end of the line to this junior kid for our reserve champion. She now has the advantage in this lineup as it relates to the correctness of general appearance, the tightness of the point of elbow as she's tracking around the wing, the width and height up into the escutcheon. And so for those reasons, she will be our reserve junior champion.
After verifying tattoos, your junior champion Toggenberg goes to Joshua Cornett. Your reserve goes to Anna Stoltman. We are now judging our junior get a sire.
Just a single entry here in our junior get class. 3 of the single entries that we saw in their previous individual classes, and so as we were walking through there, I was like, man, these kids are all so consistent. So to see them all out of the same sire speaks highly of the strengths that he's passing along. They're very correct in terms of width through that top line, the dare strength, the long lean necks. Well deserving of first out here today.
We're now ready for a recorded grade junior kid class number 1. Recorded grade junior kid class number 1, please. Just a reminder, exhibitors, if you have not signed your paperwork for a grand or a reserve today and you have time, please do so. I need those done before we do Best Junior Doe and Show.
Our first class of recorded grades here, our junior kid class. One does place over 2 for the advantage that we see in general appearance. And that front end assembly, she has forelegs placed more properly beneath the withers. In feet and legs, she's a doe showing more width between the hocks, more width and height up into the escutcheon. And Darius string, she's a doe that's a little stronger bone, a little more angular about that rear rib today than 2. 2 and 3, this is a close placing. Our second place doe does have the advantage, though, in the area of general appearance and feet and legs. As you watch her track toward you, she's tracking straighter on that foreleg than what we see in the doe in 3. She'll combine that with now her turn to have the advantage in Darius' strength as it relates to being more open about that rear rib. She, once again, is now just a little sharper and flatter bone throughout than what we see in 3. 3 then is placing over 4 in her turn for the advantage. She now has a general appearance. As you get these 2 does out on the move, we see a doe in 3 that levels out more correctly through the area of the loin. She's tracking with more correct angulation in that rear leg, and she's stronger on that rear pastern today compared to the doe here in 4. She will have to grant to the Darius strength on this 4th place doe, specifically that openness of ribbing, and it's for that openness of ribbing I want to commend our 4th place doe today.
Class 1 recorded grades, first place to Amy Keach, second to Katie Jackson, third to Katie Jackson. We are now ready for our recorded grade, Class 2, intermediate kids. Attention exhibitors, since we are on junior does today, at the completion of the recorded grade junior champion, I need all my breed champions in the makeup ring. We will go directly into best in show. So as soon as our junior champion recorded grade is named, we need all other breed champions at the end of the show ring, please, in the makeup area.
our class of recorded grade intermediate kids. Starting off with Ado, I felt pretty easily led herself to the top. She excels the Ado in 2 in general appearance. As it relates to strength over that top line, being flatter in the area, the loin while on the move, having rear legs with more correct angulation and set when viewed from the side. And Darius strength to the Ado, it's a little more angular about that rear rib today compared to the Ado in 2. 2 then is placing over 3 in her turn. Once again, a Darius strength advantage here. She's smoother blending from the neck into the withers. She's sharper in those withers. That additionally gives her the advantage in the front end assembly of general appearance, being smoother blending about that whole shoulder assembly while on the move than what we see in 3. She will have to grant to the extreme depth of body on this third place Ado. 3 then places over 4 for the advantage that we see in general appearance. As it relates to strength over that top line, she's wider in the loin, she's wider in the one from thurl to thurl. She's a Ado that shows more correct set to that rear leg with more proper angulation when viewed from the side. She tracks out with more width between the hocks, some more width and height up into the escutcheon than the Ado in 4. Fourth place kid, really do appreciate the long lean neck on her, and she should be commended for that.
Recorded grade intermediate kid class winner goes to Caitlin Kreider. Second to Audrey Ramey. Third to Caitlin Kreider. Recorded grade senior kid class 3. We do not have any entries, so we are going directly into recorded grade class 4 dry yearlings. I believe there are 5 entries in that. Class 3 is scratched, and we're going into number 4 dry yearlings.
A really strong class of recorded grade dry yearlings here. Starting off with a close placing at the head of the line. One does place over 2 for her advantage and general appearance. As it relates to the strength of feet and legs, she does show some more proper angulation to that rear leg when viewed from the side. The front end assembly should doe showing less motion about their shoulder blade, being fuller in their crops as well. And dairy strength should doe that's longer and leaner about the neck, sharper in those withers than our second place doe. 2 then is placing over 3 in her turn for the advantage she has in general appearance. As it relates to the strength of that top line as she's walking around the ring, she has less tendency to roach in the loin than what we see in the doe in 3. She'll combine that with the advantage she also holds today in body capacity, being deeper at that point of elbow, longer and deeper back into the rear barrel today than the doe we have in 3. 3 then is placing over 4 for her primary advantage in general appearance. It's the strength of feet and legs. She's a doe that tracks more truly forward on that front leg. She's a little more angulation in that rear leg when viewed from the side, as well as being stronger in that rear pastern. Look at dairy strength. She's a doe that's a little longer about that neck, a little more open about that rear rib as well. She'll have to grant to the levelness through the loin area on this 4th place doe. 4 then placing over 5. This is once again for her primary advantage in dairy strength. She's sharper in those withers. She's more open about that rear rib. She's a more angular style doe all around than what we see in the doe in 5. She'll combine that with the advantage she has in the area of general appearance and feet and legs. She's a doe that tracks out with more width between the hocks and more width and height up into the escutcheon than the really eye-catching doe here in 5. Our 5th place doe really do appreciate the side profile as it relates to the strength over that top line on this doe, the levelness through the chine and loin area, and she should be commended for that.
Winner of your Class 4 recorded grade dry yearling goes to Caitlin Crider, second to Caitlin Crider, third to Amy Keach. We are now ready for our junior champion recorded grade. If I could get the first and second places back into ring, please.
Our lineup for our last junior champion of the day, the recorded grade breed division. 3 class winners in the line closest to me at the back line. We have our intermediate kid, really a powerful individual. Love the strength of bone on this kid, the width and power that she shows throughout. Our senior kid in the middle line, just really correcto in terms of general appearance and levelness over that top line, the beautiful set to the rear legs on this individual. And then our dry yearling here at the headline, just a really dairy individual with that long bone pattern throughout, the openness to ribbing and flatness of bone. For me, the junior champion is going to be the senior kid. She has the advantage over the dry yearling ahead of her in that dairy strength category, being a little smoother blending from the neck into the withers, as well as being a little more correctly angulated about the rear leg. She has the advantage over the intermediate kid directly behind her in the area of strength through the chine and loin area. So for those reasons, our senior kid will be our junior champion. We pull her out of line and look at our second place from that class. Now, not quite seeing the correctness of general appearance that made our junior champion. So now looking a little closer between our intermediate kid and our dry yearling. Now for the advantage that she has in the strength over that top line, the flatness in the rump from hips to pins, as well as just being a little wider between the hocks as she tracks away from me. I'm going up to the dry yearling at the headline. She'll be our reserve junior champion.
We'll verify tattoos for the recorded grades, and then I believe we have 2 group classes, and then we will go into our best doe and show.
pair of entries once again for our junior Get of Sire class. I'm going to use the group on my right over the group on my left for their advantage in that consistency of set to the rear legs. As a group, they're showing me a little more in terms of tracking out with width between the hocks, width and height up into the scutcheon, as well as just being a little more correct in terms of dare strength and the pliability of skin today. Over our group here in two, our second place group really do appreciate the length of body and levelness over their top line that all three of these individuals show, and they should be commended for that.
In our junior Get of Sire class for recorded grade, first place is Caitlin Kreider, second is Katie Jackson. We now need to get our breed champions lined up and ready to come in for best in show.
Okay, our last class of the day, some might say the most important, our selection of best junior doe show. We have all 8 of our breed champions out here to see who's going to take home the title of 2024 Kentucky State Fair Junior Best in Show. So I'll invite you to follow me along. I'm going to jump up and down this line before selecting my best junior doe show. At the headline, we have our first breed champion of the day, our Alpine. She's so incredibly daring. You get your hands on this doe. She's open and angular about that rear rib, incredibly flat boned as well. Really appreciate the strength over the top line on this doe in terms of being level through the chine and loin area, right in the rump from thurl to thurl. She, however, doesn't quite have the same strength of rear pasterns that we see on my best junior doe show. At the back of the line here, we have our newest breed champion. This is our recorded grade senior kid here that's so incredibly stylish with that long, lean neck, the angularity about the rear rib, the openness of ribbing, the flatness of bone throughout. Once again, just a doe that really excels in angulation and set to that rear leg. She, however, doesn't quite have the same sharpness in those withers that we see in my best junior doe show. 2 does in front of her is this Nubian dry yearling, just an incredibly correct doe in that front end assembly, beautiful extension about her brisket. She's tied at the point of elbow, once again being a doe that's incredibly level over that top line through the chine and loin area with correct set to the rear legs. She, however, doesn't quite have the same length of bone pattern throughout or length of that rear rib that we see in my best junior doe show. Second from the head of the right, we have head of the line, we have our all-right Sonnen champion. She's a doe that's so incredibly upstanding into that front end assembly. She's smoothly blending about that shoulder assembly while on the move. She's tight in those withers. Once again, a doe that's incredibly wide and level through that loin. She, however, doesn't quite have the same angulation to the rear legs width between the hocks that we see on my best junior doe show. Second from the back of the line is our Toggenburg champion here. She came out of the all other purebreds breed division. Just once again, an incredibly sound doe in general appearance as it relates to the strength of that front end assembly. Really appreciate watching this doe on the move as she's tied at the point of elbow. Once again, showing us tremendous extension of brisket and a really powerful doe when it comes to the body capacity category with that width and depth throughout. She, however, doesn't quite have that same angulation set to the rear leg, the width and height up into the escutcheon that we see in my best junior doe show. Third from the head of the line is our La Mancha doe. This is a doe that really caught my eye when she walked into the ring, and mentally I had the note that she was going to be ultra competitive out here for our best junior doe show lineup. Just an incredibly correct doe in feet and legs, beautiful straightness to those forelegs, both when viewed from this front as well as the side. Once again, an incredibly level doe that's upstanding into the withers, level through the chine and loin and rump area. The rump both from hips to pins as well as thurl to thurl. She, however, doesn't quite track out with the same width between the hocks, the straightness in that rear leg when viewed from behind that we see in my best junior doe show. Then we have a Sable champion right behind her. She's actually our AOP champion. The Toggenburgs are in their own breed division, but the AOP champion, our Sable doe, just an incredibly daring individual. Love that long, lean neck, the length of bone pattern throughout, the flatness of bone. She, once again, really caught my eye when she walked in the ring. Really appreciate the levelness over the top line. Once again, on this doe, the width through the loin and the rump area, as well as being a doe that's extremely correct on that rear leg set. She, however, doesn't quite keep those point of elbows quite as tight while on the move, not quite as smoothly blended about that front end assembly as my best junior doe show. That leaves our Nigerian dwarf. She'll be my best junior doe show today.